In this lesson, we will be talking about choosing an appropriate graph. Throughout your math career, you have learned about a few different types of graphs, and we're going to revisit some of them as we talk about the different ways that we can display data. So Tao counted the number of red chocolates in 5 different boxes of candy-coated chocolates. This table shows the data collected. So in the first box, there were 8, in the second box 12, third box 13, fourth box there were 9, and fifth box there were 12. Tao displayed the data in a bar graph. She chose a vertical bar graph so the heights of the bars could be used to compare the numbers of chocolates. So here's her graph. From the graph, she knows that box 3 is represented by the tallest bar. So box 3 has the greatest number of red chocolates. Box 1 had the least number of red chocolates. And we can tell that because it is the smallest of those bars. So this is one way that we could represent, and this is a bar graph. So we color up to the number that represents whatever our value is. Manuel recorded the contents of his family's recycling bin. This table shows what his family recycled each week for 2 weeks. So the plastic items, the glass items, cans, and boxes. He wanted to compare the data for week 1 and week 2, so he drew a double bar graph to display the 2 sets of data. From the double bar graph, Manuel knows more plastic items, cans, and boxes were recycled in week 2 and fewer glass items. So when we look at this graph, the dark blue represents week 1 and the light blue represents week 2. And we put them beside each other under the category of plastic, so that when we look at them side by side, we can tell which one is higher. It makes a good comparison between different sets of data. He then displayed the data to show the total amount recycled over 2 weeks. The data are discrete, meaning that we can count them. I didn't recycle half of a plastic item. The total amount, and there are sets of items. So Manuel drew a pictograph. So a pictograph uses a picture to represent one item or an amount of items. So he realized that each of his numbers were divisible by 4, so he added them together. These are his numbers. And he chose a little bit of a blue recycling box drawing to represent 4 items. So for the 44 plastic items, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 little boxes, and each one of those boxes represents 4 items, so 11 times 4 gives me that 44 number. From the pictograph, Manuel knows that in the 2 weeks, there were more plastic items recycled than any other type of item, and cans were the least recycled. There are some practice questions here. You are welcome to use whichever version of a graph you think is going to represent this data best. Which means you might use a pictograph, you might use a graph with the dots and the lines, you might use a bar graph or a double bar graph. Try them out, let me know if you have any issues, and I can help you out.